Hello tanks and tankettes, welcome to a view replay, and it's the KV-4. We haven't had this one for a while. I don't play it myself that much these days, but I still have a very fond regard for this tank, and it actually got buffed in patch 9.13, so we're maybe going to see some of that in this game. It got slightly more health, it got a better reload, and I'm pretty sure it got a better aim time as well. Now this is Joe. We're just going to call him Joe, and we're going to call him Joe because he said in his email to call him Joe. His name is fairly unpronounceable. It's a bunch of letters and numbers, so Joe it is. And I'm going to say Joe makes some mistakes in this game, and the result he has is going to depend more than a little bit on luck. But some medals, some rewards, some results do require a bit of luck. They're not just about skill. You need some things to fall in your favour as well. And one immediate one we can see is that he's top tier and there's no artillery. So in fact that's two immediate things we can see. I can count. So this is a pretty nice setup for a KV-4 in fact. It's a map indeed where he can side scrape, he can use his very strong side armour. There are still a couple of things he's going to have to worry about. I mean, the armour on the KV-4 is good, but if you go into a battle thinking you're invulnerable, you're going to get disabused of that notion very, very quickly. And of course, it being slow, he's slightly struggling to get here, but he's actually not that far behind things like the IS-3 and the KV-3. Having said that, actually, if a KV-3 is out ahead of an IS-3, I don't think the IS-3 could have been quite driving at full pelt the whole way. So this gun he's got, this is obviously a fully upgraded KV-4. The 107mm on this is unique to the KV-4. Nothing else gets this gun, and it's actually quite a nice tank gun. It's got, I think, 320 average damage, I think. So it's about the same as some of the... if it's 320, it's the same as some of the 100mm in the game. And it's a fairly reliable gun. It's actually reasonably accurate. Since it got the reload buff, it's now actually got, without a gun rammer, it's something just shy of 2000 DPM. I think it's a little below that. It's 1900 and something. And again, this is going by memory, so that's always risky. But it's pretty respectable for a heavy tank. So he's arrived at this corner, and this is probably the best place to side scrape when there's no artillery, but the KV-3 is already here. So that makes life a little bit awkward, but it's not going to prevent him from doing damage, of course. Now the KV-3 is also a good side scraping tank, but the turret is a bit less reliable than the KV-4's. Having said that though, the KV-4's turret is... it's got enough flat areas that if somebody can't shoot your hull, if they know what they're doing, they can just pepper your turret full of holes. So again, you can't be complacent. You can't just sit out in the open and think my armour's going to take care of it, because that's a very, very good way to die. Now, this is looking fairly comfortable for now. He's got T-69 and the IS-3 to his south, so he's not going to get overrun, except the enemy IS-3 is going for the T-69. Their IS-3 is signalling him to fall back. Now, as far as Joe knows, there's still a lurve around that corner, except he's just popped up by the IS-3. So, this is the point, and this is his first mistake. Not taking that hit, I think pulling forward was the right thing to do there, but not just going all in against the VK. The VK's gun, actually, I think does the same amount of damage as this gun, but it's less damaging than the IS-3 gun, and he could have pulled forward. He might have taken a damaging hit from the VK, but he would have avoided taking a hit in the side from the IS-3. So that was definitely a mistake. He should have been paying a little more attention to the minimap there. And these things are always easy to say in hindsight, and that's just unlucky. That, you know, someone should be doing this, but that would have been the correct thing to do, to pull forward against the VK and avoid taking the hit from the IS-3 unnecessarily. And that's another one that went, it looks like, in the tracks and did no damage. Now this is a time when he should be side scraping against this IS-3. He is risking taking more damage, and he does. That was unfortunate. I will say he does display a reasonable knowledge of angling throughout this game, but there are times, like there, when he really could have side scraped, and it would have been a lot smarter. Now he actually takes that shot from IS-3 in the side. The guy was caught by surprise for him moving forwards. And sometimes being aggressive, and it's the same with the KV-5 for instance, sometimes being aggressive is the best thing you can do. So I have no idea if that was the right call at that particular moment. I don't know if I'd have done that. I might have tried to side scrape out more and been more cautious about it. But if you can rush an enemy, if you can force them to rush their shots, they will probably, unless you're unlucky, hit somewhere where they're not going to be able to pen, and that's what happened there. So sometimes being aggressive is the right thing to do, but it's picking and choosing the time to do it that is that's all down to a judgment call, and you're not always going to get that right. So he gets a bit lucky there. That's a bounce from the Lerva, and he's angled quite far here. That guy could pen him through the front axle. This is another time when side scraping, even getting into position against that that IS-3 racket ahead of him, would have been a bit better than just kind of sitting at quite that angle, and it made his frontal armour tougher to penetrate, but they could have penned his side, I'm pretty sure, or penned through the front axle. So that's the Skoda T25 down, 1375, and it auto-aimed and took that shot, and that was never going to hit. That 1375 is about to run into the OI, so that's fine. They've also got, by the way, a Super Pershing who's AFK, so they've been down a tank the entire battle, a top-tier tank. There's the Su-100 that's gone, and he takes a shot himself, which doesn't seem to hit anything. We know the KV-3 was up there as well, however. So it is effectively him, the OI, and 2 scouts. The Super Pershing is, he's loaded into the game. He just hasn't moved once, and you'll see at the end scores that they don't move and they don't fire a single shot, and they really don't get a lot of XP for it. So that's 1375 down. The T-71's going for the Chaffee. Honestly, he's done all right so far, but he could have so much more health right now. He could have close to 800 hit points over and above what he actually has. He can still stand to take another couple of hits if it comes to that. But ideally, he wouldn't have taken either of the hits from the IS-3 that he took, that penned. Especially not that first one into his side armour. In fact, that was kind of into the engine deck area. That was a little bit risky taking a shot like that. So it's just pushing forward. We know where the Jagdpanther last was. We know where the KV-3 last was. Hopefully the OI and the... oh, well, okay, never mind. The Chaffee's down. And he's just discovered the Jagdpanther even, who seems to be entirely focused on the OI at the moment. So that's a nice, easy pair of shots for Joe to take. Unfortunately, yeah, that one probably went in through the top of the turret or into the mini turret, which it's not exactly a reliable weak spot. It's not even technically a weak spot, but oh, that was close. But it is an area where you can be penned. And you see there, that T-71 penning him. He wasn't quite angled, so oh, that was lucky. This is it. He's down to his last 115 health. The T-71, if he had another shot, could kill him. But he doesn't. He's reloading right now. The Jagdpanther tracks him, and the KV-3's appeared and bounces south. Yeah, I did mention that there might be an element of luck in this one. Now, he was doing his best to stay angled at times there, and there we go, takes out the Jagdpanther, which has the more dangerous gun. But the KV-3, if he's smart, could just load up an HE shell. It might take 2 HE shells and do some damage here, or even an APCR shell. And yeah, Joey's actually now, he is correctly side scraping. He's read the situation. He is angling now quite well. But of course, an HE shell would kind of negate that. You know, an HE shell into the front of the turret or whatever. Wouldn't do that much damage, but it's not like he's got a lot of health left. So the KV-3 decides, screw that, I'm not going to sit here against an angled side-scraping KV-4. Tries to press forward, but he just dives forward, shows his side. That's an easy last kill for a Radley-Walters for Joe. So, mistakes were made, but he got away with it. And he does, I think, have a little more to learn about when to side scrape and when not to, but his angling wasn't bad and his shooting wasn't bad. So all in all, with that really healthy slice of luck at the end there. He should have died several times over. He ended up with a very nice result indeed. That was a Radley-Walters, Spartan, Steel Wall, High Caliber, Top Gun and an Ace Mastery. Easily top of his team with 6,083 damage and 8 kills and 1,800 base XP. That was a really, really good result. It's no wonder that was an ace tanker. The Super Pershing, meanwhile, wasn't even last place, despite having not moved all game. So there were actually two players that, despite having moved forward and, you know, seemingly done stuff, actually managed to somehow get a worse score than an AFK Super Pershing, so they've got to feel good about that. And because he doesn't have a premium account, he walked away with a modest profit of 20,000 off that 6,000 damage, but he did have to shoot rather a lot of shells there. 31 shots fired, 28 hits though, and 24 pens out of those 28 hits, so his shooting was actually pretty good. And lastly, blocked by armour, 4,300, nearly 4,400 damage. So yeah, he was getting quite lucky at times, but other times he was angling quite effectively. So if you can learn a bit better when to side scrape, when to go forwards against an enemy to limit damage you might take from other enemies and that kind of thing, you know, reading those kind of situations better, I think he can do very well to in the ST1 when he finally comes to that. So there we go, the good old KV Fortress, and a very lucky Radley-Walters result, but still a not unimpressive result, even if it did take some luck to get there. So I hope you've enjoyed this replay, and if you have, you can hit the like button, you can subscribe to my channel, you can leave any comments below. I've done that the wrong order, but whatever. And as always, stay tuned for more.